Gave more details today about the incredible rescue by him and his diving colleagues in the caves in Thailand. He described the first moment he saw the boys and their football coach and realised that they were all still alive.
We'd been laying a line, pathfinding, and we were right at the very limit of our last bit of line, and we were actually in an airspace so we could talk. And the first thing I noticed, I was actually sniffing the air as we'd been going along where appropriate, and I sniffed and I could smell them. They heard us, we heard them, and they started coming down a slope, and they were coming down one by one. The ledge wasn't really as described. They were around a corner out of sight, and they were coming down one by one. And as they were coming down, I was counting them 1, 2, 3 until I got to 13. So when John said how many of you are there, I already had counted them all in, all there.
Thank you. How many of you? 13. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah.
And until with the fact we'd got all 13, I was a little bit concerned. But once we got 13, that was fantastic. But of course, I was always thinking, okay, this is just the start. How on earth are we going to get them out? I was already on the next stage. Great to have found them, but it was no means any way certain what the outcome would be.
The outcome required the children to be led underwater by a diver, and they had to agree to be sedated to reduce any anxiety they may feel.
We presented it, that was the only way they were going to get out, and they had to be sedated to do so. So ethically, we had to tell them a day prior to the first rescue mission that we were going to sedate them and bring them out, and they had to agree to that.
Incredibly, it's now emerged that the children were unconscious for the duration of the rescue.
They were not conscious, no. The children, none of them remember the journey at all.
The journey was about an hour and a half, and the children had to put their trust in the divers.
Each of the 4 divers was assigned a child on the day. We would dress them in a wetsuit. We had a buoyancy device on them and a harness, a cylinder, and then the full face mask. And we made sure that everything was on properly. Very good seal on the mask. Everything was tightly cinched down. So they were basically a package with a handle, like a shopping bag. Generally, we were holding them so close. Their head would be there, and my head would be there, so it'd be protecting. If we hit the ceiling, it would be my head that would be bumped, not theirs. And their exhaust bubbles were coming up right beside me, so you could feel and see the bubbles and hear them.
But Rick and the other divers knew that they had each boy's life in their hands.
Well, it's a huge responsibility. We're used to transporting all sorts of things underwater, but to transport a human life is about the ultimate responsibility. I did have a dream the other night that we'd found them, but we hadn't got them out yet, and we had all that to come. Luckily, it wasn't true. I'm getting hundreds and hundreds of messages from strangers. It's more than thanks. It's like thank you for what you've done, and you've shown a great example of humanity.